YouTube. What's up, baby? Back in this thing again for another review. This is Q's Insight. I am Callie, and today we're going to be talking about American Horror Stories Season 2, Episode 3, entitled Drive. Now, if you've been to this channel before, you already know how we do it. We started off with the premise, 3 favorite scenes, the grade, and then we on to the next one, right? So, again, American Horror Story Season 2, Episode 3, entitled Drive. Now, for this episode, we start off at a club with 2 friends dancing. Their names are Marcy and Piper. So, after dancing, they go to get a drink. Marcy spots a guy out that she considers to be attractive, and his name is Wyatt. Now, Piper leaves so that Marcy can handle her business. So when Piper leaves, Marcy sends the sign to the dude. The dude, looking back, eventually he approaches her. And then Wyatt and Marcy, start talking for a little bit, drinking a little bit. Then they start dancing. They really, really have a good time. And then, after all that, they end up hooking up in her car. After that, they part ways, and she heads home, and all of a sudden, there's a car following her. And you're thinking that this is Wyatt in the car, because after they hooked up, it wasn't like a argument that happened, but it was kind of like I don't know. It just was kind of like some ego was thrown out at her, and you feel me? She threw shade back at him, and what I'm saying, they both went on about their business. But because of that, you're thinking that this car that's coming after her is Wyatt. And as far as we know, it is him. But anyways, like I said, this car is following her. She ends up speeding away, and she thinks that she's safe. But out of nowhere, the car comes back up. It's like a Jeep. Bumps into her a few times in the back of her car. She ends up making like a sharp turn, losing the car again. But even though she lost the car, the person that was driving the car still ended up being like kind of next to her still, which was kind of weird. But she does end up getting home safely, and she ends up talking to this guy named Chaz. And within the conversation, you're thinking like, maybe, okay, well, what just took place, first of all? And then within the conversation that they're having, you're thinking maybe this is her friend or brother or something like that. No, this ends up being actually her husband, and they're in an open, they have an open marriage. And I guess it's probably more so her messing around than him. So we see Marcy wiping her makeup off her face, and we find out that she has like a birthmark, like a big birthmark, like kind of like all on the side of her cheeks, like kind of on her neck, like whatever it may be. It's nothing like too crazy, like, what I'm saying. She's still beautiful, but I guess she just has a birthmark, and she covers it up with makeup. So there must be some type of insecurity with it, But anyways. Chaz and Marcy end up going to sleep for that night, and then Marcy ends up waking up later on because she hears some noise. She goes to check it out and everything like that. There's nobody there. So the next day, Piper comes over and talks with Marcy about what happened with probably what happened with Wyatt, probably what happened when she was getting chased by this unknown person in this car. And then also probably her conversation with Chaz. So then Piper ends up telling Marcy that there's this girl that just went missing from a nightclub, and she's basically trying to warn her friend about, like, having this this risky life, living this risky life, going out, hooking up with random people. You don't really know who they are. And you got girls disappearing, you got guys disappearing. So you should watch your back. You should watch out. Maybe slow that down. Sorry. Maybe slow that down because, who knows? You may be next. And so Marcy does agree to do that. Um, so, and even after that talk, Piper also tells Marcy about this urban legend. And the urban legend, the scenario that takes place is pretty much similar to what Marcy went through when that car was chasing her. Which is there. I'll explain what happened in that little urban legend. It's a lady, driving her car. Somebody in another car behind her starts flashing their headlights, and tries to get the person's attention, and this freaks the person out, of course. But in all reality, the person that's trying to get their attention is actually trying to let them know that there is a killer in their car. Um, and we saw how that urban legend ended. Um, anyways, the next day comes, and Piper and Marcy, they end up going out again after Marcy, like, pretty much persuades Piper to come out with her to the club. They end up going out again. And this time, after all that talk, what I'm saying, about slowing down, hooking up and everything like that, Marcy ends up going to the car and hooking up with a girl. And we see that after they're done hooking up, Piper is outside of the door and outside of the car door and is looking at Marcy like, yo, what are you doing? Anyways, the lady ends up leaving Marcy's car. Marcy ends up talking with Piper. They end up getting into an argument. Some things are said, and they end up basically splitting up and going their own way. Like, they don't want to be friends no more. So then we see Marcy after that. She actually goes back into the club for more fun. And we see that Marcy ends up seeing Chaz at the club. And she ends up going up to him and confronting him like, yo, like, are you following me? Like, what are you doing? Whatever it may be. And he's like, yes, I am. Like, well, at first he's like, no, I just was here. I just randomly, da-da-da. And she's like, no, don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie. Then that's when he tells her the truth, like, hey, I've been worried about you, and I'm just here to look out for you. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff that's been going on, I just want to look out for you. But she doesn't like the fact that he's doing what he's doing, regardless of what he's, regardless of him trying to help her out. He doesn't like it, or she doesn't like it. So she ends up making him leave. When Marcy finally leaves the club, she sees the Jeep that was stalking her the other night. So she waits out and finds out that there's this dude, and he's like making out with this girl, whatever it may be, and then he ends up leaving. And so she sees basically who was in that car. So when he's leaving, she decides to follow him, and she ends up getting his plates, and then he makes like a sharp turn and leaves somewhere. It's almost like as if like he knew that she was like watching him, but I guess she didn't. I'm sorry, it's almost as if he knew that she was watching him, but I guess he didn't know that. So anyway, she ends up going home. The next day comes, and she ends up looking up the plates. Chaz ends up telling her that he doesn't want to do this anymore, like he doesn't want to open a relationship anymore, and he can't handle it no more. And as he's telling her all this stuff, Marcy ends up finding out that this person's name is Paul. She tries to find where he lives, but she can't locate his living situation. But she does locate where he works at. So she's basically gonna pop up on him at work. And then Chaz is finishing telling her like what he wanted to say, and he's like, I don't want to do this no more. Like I said, I found an apartment. I'm gonna move to an apartment, and we just go our own ways. But she's like, no, I don't want to do that, whatever it may be, right? Um, so she goes to Paul's job, and she ends up having a conversation with him. Um, and I don't like, from the vibe from the conversation, it seems like he was like a weird dude, like kind of like, creepy. And she was picking up on that vibe, and so she ends up leaving after they have a conversation. But this dude like finds her attractive, what I'm saying? He was like flirting with her when they were having their conversation. So, anyways, she ends up leaving the store, and she ends up waiting till he's off of work, and then she follows him to his house. He gets out of his car, he goes in to take a shower, and she ends up sneaking into his house. I guess trying to find out some information about like who he is, like what he's doing or whatever it may be. When she sneaks into his house, and she sees like on a wall that he has is full of like missing persons information. So you're like, oh, this has got to be the dude that's been taking people from the club and stuff like that. So, anyways, after he gets out the shower, he gets dressed and stuff like that. You can tell that he's about to go out. So what ends up happening is he actually pretends that he's about to leave, and then once Marcy hears the door close, she ends up trying to sneak out of the house, like get back out of the house. But I guess he must have known that she was there or had a feeling that someone was there, because he actually pulls out a bat and like rushes her, and he confronts her. Why are you in my house? Da 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 da. And then he like recognizes her from seeing her early at his store. And then she confronts him about like, hey, there was somebody following me the other night, bumping into my car, trying to do this and that, whatever it may be, and it just seemed weird. And I know it was you because I wrote down your license plate number. I looked you up. I found you. And then Paul ends up explaining to her that, yeah, it was me that followed you that night and everything like that, but I was actually trying to warn you. And what basically he says is basically what the urban legend is. Like, he said he saw somebody in the back of her car, so he sped off trying to catch up to her. He ends up trying to get her attention with the flashing the headlights on and off. And once that wasn't enough and she sped off, he ended up speeding up to catch up, and then he had to end up like bumping into the back of her car, really, really trying to get her attention, to let her know that there's somebody in the back of your car, and he may be a killer. So after all this is said, like she kind of like feels better about the situation. It's like, oh, well, you're so nice. You really tried to help me out. You really went out of your way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you were digging me earlier, whatever it may be. Now I know where you live. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. So it kind of seems like she's about to like hook up with him. You know what I'm saying? Um, but she gets close to him, and then she ends up ejecting him with like some type of uh like sleeping drug or whatever, or like some type of tranquilizer, whatever it may be. And he of course gets mad, and he like ends up choking her, and he's like really, really choking her out, and it seems like she's about to actually die. But you're also like, why did she do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the reason for that? All of nowhere, bro, Chaz pops up with a bat, and he ends up hitting Paul in the head with it. And then he takes Marcy home. Chaz takes Marcy home. Chaz ends up telling her that, like for sure, like he's got an apartment. He's going to leave the next day. And he says, I'll stay here tonight and I'll help you clean up. And you're like, what is all this crap? What is going on? So, she ends up going down to this basement, and we find out that Paul is tied up in the basement. And there's like this whole like torturing set like out and everything like that. And you're like, yo, like what is Shorty like on, bro? Like you thought she was innocent, right? And then she explains to Paul that, um, she's the one that's been kidnapping these guys and these girls and trying to get rid of them and trying to get rid of these people that think they're better than everybody else, whatever it may be. And she blames them on the fact that she had that birthmark on her face, and it was like really humiliating for her. And when she was in high school, and kids like him, like Paul, made fun of her and thought they were like, the ish, and what I'm saying, so they really made her have a hellacious life. So now because of that, she's now in as a grown woman taking out her anger of what happened to her in the past to people that she feels that are like those people that made fun of her in her past, or that may actually be that way. So that's her whole thing. She's been the one kidnapping these people, torturing them and killing them, and she has a whole like thing where she tortures and kills these people, and Chaz knows about it, of course, so he ends up burying these people for her. So that's why he said, I'll help you clean up afterwards, and then I'm leaving tomorrow. So anyway, she ends up torturing this dude, messing him up pretty badly, and at the right before she's about to kill him, she stops. She's like, you know what, something's not right, whatever it may be. So she goes, she's like, hold on, and she takes this machete, bro, and sticks it right in his head, and it's just stuck in his head. I'm like, yo, that nigga's dead. Like, what are you talking about? Hold on, I'll be back. Like that fool's dead now. But anyway, she goes to talk to Chaz, and she's like, look, like I don't deserve you, and I'm so happy to have you in my life, and you helped me out so much and everything like that, and like, I really want us to work out, and let's make this thing work out, just me and you. Let's be a serious situation, no more openness within our relationship, just me and you type stuff. And she's like, I really want you to partake in what I do, like, what I'm saying, like killing these people and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, well, how can I turn that down, or whatever it may be. And so she's like, well, you know what, I got the perfect person for you to start off with. And so we go into another room in the basement or something like that, and we end up finding out that Piper is actually tied up. And so they both walk up to her, and they both just kill her. And that's basically the end of the episode, man. Three of my favorite scenes would be Paul realizing, you feel me, like Paul revealing to Marcy that no, he was actually trying to help her out. You know what I'm saying? Because he gave off this creep vibe, you thinking he's a bad dude, but nah, he was really trying to help her out. So when it is revealed that he was really only trying to help her out, like it's like, whoa, like what is going on now? You know what I'm saying? That was a cool scene. My second favorite scene would be Paul's torture, bro. Like when he got tortured by her, bro, like that was crazy. Like she was really like, she wasn't doing like so much, but she did torture him for sure. And that whole like I'll be back type thing here, and put that machete in his head, bro, that was hilarious. So that'll be my second favorite scene. My third favorite scene would be basically Piper's death, bro. Like we don't really see what happens, but we just see, Chaz and Marcy rush her and about to chop her or whatever it may be. And it was just like, yo, that's crazy. Like, this is her friend. They just had a argument, whatever it may be. And we're just realizing that Marcy is really per se a bad person. Well, no, she is a bad person. Regardless of whatever she went through in the past, doesn't mean that what she's doing now makes it okay. Like, come on, bro. So Marcy's a bad person. Chaz is a bad person. And it just was crazy to see that, this is going to be their first kill together, and probably the first of many, you know what I'm saying? So that'll be three of my favorite scenes. The grade for this episode, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Excellent episode, man. I was really confused at a certain point, because after, like, Paul came clean about whatever, I'm like, yo, like, where is this going to go? And then we really found out where it went. And I thought it was a really, really creative story. So that's 3 for 3, man. The first season, American Horror Stories Season 2, first 3 episodes have been really knocked it out of the park, and I really appreciate this, and I really am enjoying this show, man. But anyways, if you guys saw this episode, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below. Out of the first 3 episodes of this season 2 of American Horror Stories, which one has been your favorite thus far? Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. As always, this is Q's Insight. I am Callie. Until next time.